Director of the Bruges Group, Robert Olds, told Express.co.uk that French presidential hopeful Marine Le Pen can't be trusted with a Frexit as she has proven she changes her policies depending on what is the most popular. Director of the Bruges Group, Robert Olds, spoke with Express.co.uk over whether Marine Le Pen would be a close ally to the UK if she wins the French presidential elections next year. But Mr. Olds was not convinced and explained the right-wing leader could not be trusted and was a fair-weather friend because of how she quickly changes her political stance. He added she was not a true friend to the UK who voted to leave the European Union and could not be trusted with a Frexit if it came down to it. The issue of Frexit has been bubbling in France over the last few years as the movement continues to gain prominence in the country. Anger at the vaccine rollout and Emmanuel Macron's strong focus on the bloc has strengthened support for leaving the EU. However, Marine Le Pen, who campaigned on a Eurosceptic and more right-wing ticket in the 2017 election, has since toned the rhetoric down to try and win over more voters. Speaking to Express.co.uk, Mr. Olds did not think Ms. Le Pen could be trusted with a Frexit nor would she be a strong ally to the UK. He explained, Marine Le Pen briefly flirted with the idea of France leaving the euro. Unfortunately, she is indeed a fair-weather friend. When she needed the establishment, she turned her back on those policies. So the history of the National Rally is that it came from the National Front. They were actually never a Eurosceptic party. There was a period in time when her father Jean-Marie Le Pen actually supported the European Union. And this was during the time the communists were actually against the EU. They can't be relied upon to do a Frexit in that there are other political parties in France and other political movements that actually favor France leaving the European Union. Indeed, many of them actually came over to Britain on the day that we were permitted to leave the EU. They actually came over to celebrate and experience Brexit. I attended their events and they were singing the British national anthem. All the verses, they actually knew the words. Former Rear Admiral Dr. Chris Parry spoke to Express.co.uk about what would happen to the UK if Ms. Le Pen won and was more optimistic she would be close to the UK. He explained, Le Pen gets into next year, she'll need allies and the sort of allies that she'll look for those who are basically those countries that are fairly skeptical about the European Union. Shell also be consolidating, I think, French national pride and Shell look to Britain as an example as Schusch has used Britain as an example several times now about the country taking charge of its own destiny. Mr. Macron has been hit with a wave of controversies during his presidency which raised huge question marks over whether he is able to secure another term. France has been gripped by large anti-vaccine passport protests for weeks as the French president introduced them to increase vaccine uptake. Earlier in 2021, French motorists were also stung by a sudden increase in fuel prices and had to pay 16% more for petrol than at the start of the year, while the cost of diesel increased by 12%. Mr. Macron has also been accused of fueling anti-vax sentiments when he questioned the efficacy of the AstraZeneca jab in over 65s. He was also one of the front men to push for the AZ jab suspension following fears of fatal blood clots.